The Delaney home sits on a quiet suburban street, bathed in the golden glow of dusk. Inside, Linda sets the dinner table while Richard watches TV. The news plays in the background. Authorities are still searching for the Phantom Killer, linked to 3 brutal murders in the past 6 months. The victims, all women in their 20s, were found in secluded areas, their deaths marked by a chilling signature. Linda barely pays attention. The world outside never felt like it could touch them. Knock. Knock. Linda, expecting a neighbor, opens the door. 2 detectives stand there, their faces grave. "Mrs. Delaney, we need to speak to your son, Michael." Her heart pounds. "Why? What's wrong?" "Your son is a suspect in an ongoing murder investigation." Richard walks over. "That's ridiculous. There must be a mistake." The detective doesn't blink. "Is Michael home?" A long pause. The tension is suffocating. Michael Delaney, 26, was his parents' pride. A reserved but intelligent young man, he worked remotely as a software engineer, rarely went out, and kept mostly to himself. Linda always reassured people, "Michael's just an introvert. He's harmless." But small things had been off lately. The locked room. Michael had started keeping his bedroom door locked, even when he wasn't inside. When Linda asked about it, he shrugged. "I just like my privacy." Late nights. He was always awake at odd hours, his computer screen the only glow in the dark. Linda once caught him muttering to himself, his eyes bloodshot and distant. A strange odor. Once, Linda smelled something chemical from his room. Michael brushed it off as just some cleaning supplies. No more family time. He used to watch movies with his parents, but now he barely left his room. When Linda tried to coax him out, he snapped, "I'm not a kid anymore, Mom." Still, nothing screamed murderer. Until now. Michael comes downstairs slowly, his face unreadable. "What's going on?" The lead detective steps forward. "Michael Delaney, you're under arrest for the murders of 3 women." Linda instinctively grabs Michael's arm. "No, that's not possible." Michael stiffens. His expression flickers. Fear? Guilt? But then he does something chilling. He smiles. "Do what you have to do." As the officers cuff him, Linda grabs at his sleeve. "Michael, tell them they're wrong." He finally meets her gaze. "I'm sorry, Mom." Her knees give out. Richard barely catches her. Inside the station, the detectives present their case. Michael leaving a crime scene, his face obscured by a hood. A secret online persona named The Phantom, where he documented his crimes in disturbing detail. Posts included photos of the victims and chilling captions like, "Asterisk, she looked just like her." Asterisk, a strand of hair found on one victim's body matches Michael's. He targeted women who looked like his ex-girlfriend, Rachel, the detective explains. After she left him, something inside him snapped. Rachel breaks up with Michael in a crowded cafe. "You're suffocating me," she says, her voice cold. "I can't do this anymore." Michael's hands clench into fists. His breathing sharpens. His obsession begins. Detectives push Michael for a confession. "Detective, you're a smart guy. You had a good life. Why throw it all away?" Michael leans back, smirking. "Because I could." The detective slams a file on the table. "Your prints were on one of the victims' phones. You're done, Michael." Michael's smirk fades. Then, the detective drops a bombshell. "We know you didn't work alone." Michael's eyes flicker. A crack in his armor. At home, Linda clutches a childhood photo of Michael. "Where did I go wrong?" Then, another knock at the door. 2 more officers. And this time, Emily, their 21-year-old daughter, is in handcuffs. Linda gasps. "Emily?" Emily doesn't cry, doesn't protest. She just shrugs. The detective turns to Linda. She covered for him, cleaned up crime scenes, helped dispose of evidence. Linda's hands tremble. "Why?" Emily's voice is cold. "Because Michael was the only one who ever saw me." Emily sits alone at the dinner table, ignored as Linda and Richard praise Michael for his latest achievement. Later, Michael finds her crying in her room. "They don't get you," he says. "But I do." When Michael starts killing, Emily doesn't stop him. She helps him, desperate to keep his approval. The courtroom is silent. Michael receives life in prison. Emily's trial is pending. Linda and Richard sit motionless. Their perfect family, destroyed. At home, the house is unnervingly quiet. The dinner table remains set, but no one eats. Linda finds an old drawing Michael once made. A picture of their family, holding hands, all smiling. She traces his name with her fingers. A tear rolls down her cheek. My son, my baby boy. Then, a notification sound. Linda looks at Michael's old laptop. A message pops up from an unknown user. The phantom lives on. Tell Emily she's next. Her breath catches. She isn't sure whether to scream or pray.